You're about to listen to a brand new episode of the Foreign Lady podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe. Now, let's get to the episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Foreign Lady podcast. I'm your host, Liz.
And the bottom line.
And we are back with another episode for you today. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about the BAFTAs and the controversy going on with John Davidson. And so he is a man that has Tourette's syndrome, and there's like a big controversy going on with him and blurting out the N-word right at Michael B. Jordan and Lindor Leroy. That is how you say it. His name is...
It should be Delroy
Lindo. Okay, look, I'm terrible with names. But anyway, so we're gonna discuss that because now it's bringing in the disability community and any criticism of people that are criticizing him. They're calling them being ableists. I think two things can be true at the same time, so it's kind of like a nuanced conversation, but we'll get into that because it's crazy. And then we're gonna talk about the professor from that was caught on a hot mic. I don't know if everyone have seen the video that's been on IG, but there was a professor. They were at this kind of like a school, in New York, and one of the students was speaking against their school closing. She said some really inappropriate things that people are calling out. So we're gonna discuss that. And then I know you wanted to talk about the video of the woman who, I don't know, has she been charged yet? But she's been accused of harming a couple of children, like babies, not children, babies at the NICU. So we kind of want to talk about the double standards between when a certain demographic of people commit crimes and when, sort of like the privilege that they get to enjoy. And if that same scenario had happened to, let's say, a person of color, it would be a whole nother situation, basically. So we'll get into all of that. But as always, how are you doing? How's everything?
Doing well.
How's everything?
I said I'm doing well. You didn't hear me say that?
No?
Oh, yeah, I said that piece. I said I'm doing okay. Doing well.
Okay. Anything new this week and
No,
happening?
out the ordinary. I mean, just getting ready to pay taxes and stuff. The new year, like trying to put certain things behind me and move forward. I mean, the year is still relatively getting started, and there's at least a few things I want to just get off my list, my to-do list.
Okay. I'm okay. No, let me not. I don't want to say I'm okay. I think I'm better than okay, but life happens. And
So what happened? Did somebody pay for
no,
your meal and you actually gave them your number? You made the right move?
no, I did not give anybody my number. Look, these men out here. Okay. So I am trying to get back into the dating scene slowly. And I am finding that there is a reason why I've been out of the game for so long. It's because I don't want to generalize it, but these men out here are something else. Dating has become so harder, a lot harder than it needs to be. I'll say that. And a lot of that has to do with these men out here because I remember the days when, like, you would see a woman at a bar or at an event, you'd make eye contact from across the room, and the gentleman will actually come and walk over and say hello. Now they will stare a hole in you and not say anything to you. And I'm like, why are you staring at me and then not saying anything? Like, either you're gonna come and speak to me and actually open your mouth and have a conversation, or stop looking at me. And then if they actually do have the courage to come and say something, it's like they cannot hold a conversation. It's like, how am I supposed to talk to you when you can't even hold a conversation? Like, it's like pulling teeth. Anyway, I don't get it.
I mean, like, again, like I would say, like after, I would say, the Me Too movement, which is not throwing shade at the movement at all. Men are probably just being more careful in their steps, in their moves. They're probably like waiting for more than just eye contact, like a hello, a wave, because sometimes people can just make eye contact and that's all it is. It didn't mean anything, especially if you're the guy who does go up, and she's like, I wasn't looking at you, I was looking at your friend or something like that. That could be
Right.
embarrassing. I mean, the thing is, like, if you're out, like, in my experience, I'm not really trying to have too much of a conversation if I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on where I am, I kind of just want to say, you look interesting. Maybe I could buy you a drink, or I like to pay for your meal. And if it's a setting where we're dancing, I want to dance with you. I don't really want to talk too much, especially if the music is loud. There's no point in doing that. What I will do is make a nice introduction. I'll give you your space because you may not be here to meet anybody. You may be out with your girls. However, I'll buy that drink, and hopefully you'll want to say bye to me before you go. If you say bye to me before you go, that lets me know I could probably get your number.
Okay. I understand the thing with like the Me Too movement. Like I get that part, but I don't know. I feel like there's got to be like some kind of a balance in this. Or maybe I just don't, maybe I've just been out of the game for too long, and I don't know how dating goes nowadays, and I'm like longer the days, back in my day people used to talk to each other. And I don't like online dating. Like I can't do the swipe, like the swiping. I'm like like you can't make a connection that way.
Hmm.
When I do leave my apartment, like on a rare occasion I leave my house, it's like it could be very discouraging sometimes, I'll say.
I mean, that's all it is. I mean, like, there's so many now pitfalls now with people mostly being on their phones most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's not even something that I think about anymore. These aren't even my worries anymore.
Well, I know they're not your worries, so excuse me, excuse the people that is part of their worries, okay? But we know. Anyway, let's move on. Let's get into our first topic. Let me set the scene. So it's the BAFTAs. The BAFTAs were, I believe, was it 2 weeks ago or last week? I can't remember. It was two
Last
weeks ago.
week,
Was it last week? Okay.
that's when I first heard about it. At least, yeah,
Yeah.
last week I think so.
Yeah, so the BAFTAs were last week, and they're basically like the British version of the Oscars. And there was this movie about this man called John Davison, right? And he has Tourette's. And the movie is called I Swear. It's basically like a movie that talked about his journey and his life about living with Tourette's syndrome. And they invited him to the award show. And for those of you who don't know, well, at least by now you should know because it's literally everywhere. But Tourette's is basically like a condition where you can't control what you say. Like you just throw out like offensive words, and you have like tics. And I don't know much about it, but I've heard of it. I heard of it before this incident happened. So it's not like the first time I've ever heard of it, but it's just basically like a tic that you have, that you just, randomly say words that sometimes can be inappropriate. And so during a segment where Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo, where they were presenting, he happened to yell out the N word from the audience. And it was like dead silent in the room. And he just kind of yelled it out. And so the controversy is that the BAFTAs are aired 2 hours after they are recorded. So it's not like they're live. And there were other incidences where this man had, I'll call it an episode, where he had an episode where at one point he yelled out he yelled out the MF word to like a woman when she was talking. It was a couple of other incidences. And then there was another incident where I believe like one of the actors said something about Free Palestine in his speech, and they were able to edit a lot of those out. And so people are like, so you have time to edit the Free Palestine out and the other stuff that he said out of the broadcast, but you conveniently left out the N word and let it air. It's then sparked a conversation with people in the disability community that's saying, well, he can't control it. You guys don't understand. And my, I guess, opinion is one of two things, right? Two things can be true at the same time. I'm learning this as I get older. Yes, there's a situation where the man cannot control his condition. But at the other hand, it's like, why is it so hard for people to just say, I'm sorry? Like I know this, I can't control this thing, but I understand that it hurt you. It's like, stepping on someone's toes or bumping into someone on the street. It's like you don't mean to do it, but we are courteous and saying, you know what, I'm sorry, excuse me or whatever, right? Like you didn't mean to hurt their feelings or you didn't mean to hurt them, but you still take accountability and you're still apologizing. What do you think about all of this controversy, and can these two things happen? Like should we be like, should John Davison apologize for this, or are we just being ableist because we don't understand the condition? What do you think?
I think his apology should be up to him.
Okay,
I think it should be up to
elaborate.
him because, again, it is his condition. He has to deal with it, and we can choose to be more understanding. Because it's like, I would also hate that he's the one who has to live with this.
Right.
He's the one who has to deal with those outbursts. Really, if we're really going to talk about it, he has to deal with those outbursts, and I don't want to have you're not going to have to apologize to me every single time, because I have to put myself in your shoes. You the one who really got to deal with this, and it's bad enough that you got to deal with this, but now everybody wants a constant apology for something you really can't control.
Right. Necessarily blame him. I blame the
Yeah.
BBC and the BAFTAs.
Well, of
We
course, that's
w-
that's my first thought.
my first That's who I blame for this, because it's like, yes, this man cannot control his his the way he speaks, or he can't control his condition basically. And we're not saying that, you can't have him in the room or whatever. When it's been multiple incidences that's been disruptive, at what point do you say, you know what, we want to celebrate you, we want to celebrate your movie, but this thing is causing interruption in the program, can you like watch from the back? I don't know, like I don't know if that's being ableism, or like all disabilities are not the same. So at what point do you say maybe watch it from the back? Or even if you do leave, like why leave that in? Why edit out everything else but then leave that in? That's my thing.
I
What are
I
your
would say
thoughts?
this because I first put the responsibility on BAFTA and the BBC for not censoring the moment. If they can censor other moments, they can censor this. They're the first ones. They're the first and last ones that are responsible. I would also
I
say to
agree.
the gentleman, John Davidson, you know your condition more than anyone probably in that room.
Right.
I wouldn't make you leave, but I think that you have a choice to put yourself somewhere else. You don't have to, but if you know your outburst might be offensive, if you know your own condition, I think at least for me, I would put myself somewhere else because I'm aware of my condition. No one else is. I have my condition. I have my condition. I don't have to force anyone else to go through it. I can't make them go through it, like, so I have to take on that responsibility of saying, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be in this room currently, especially around people I don't really know. They don't really understand. If it's around people that you know, that are fully aware of your condition, and they know what to expect, that's fine. Around other people, I think you should think about, should I be here, especially on such a stage or such a moment, and you're gonna yell out profanities. People aren't ready for that. Yeah, you might have to think about, watching from another room so that incidences like this don't occur. But it's not something I would make you do. But if it were me in my condition, I would definitely think about that every single time. Hey, do I want to put people through this, because this condition is my responsibility first, no one else's.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think knowing that you've lived with this for your entire life, and knowing that it's those moments that, and he even said it himself, like I think I was watching an interview of him right before the BAFTAs started where he was saying that it's when it's quiet the most that his tics, you know, are more prevalent. And so when you know that, I don't know, like I understand what you're saying of like you have to be responsible for your own, like you have to know the environment that you're in. And if it's going to be a triggering environment for you, then maybe when it is very silent like that, maybe watch from the back, or I don't know. Going back to the BBC, right? I'm like, it's the disrespect for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's the constant disrespect of black people for me.
Yeah.
Because had this man yelled out something that was anti-Semitic, or that had offended someone else from another culture that was not black, they would have edited it out. Period. The fact that they purposely left that in is wild to me. And I've been hearing from, like, people who live in the UK, and they're like, "Ah, this is just another Tuesday." Like, this is what we deal with. Like, we don't, they don't talk about it, or they try to make it seem like it's not happening anymore, but it's like these were the original this was the original racism. This was the original colonization. So it's in them. I'm just tired of these organizations and these companies constantly disrespecting black people. Because, like I said, if it was something else that had to do with, and I'm not saying, people should be saying anti-Semitic things, but I'm just saying when it comes to certain communities, they're a lot more protected than we are. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah, like, because when I think about it, it's like, not only, like I said, not only does he know his condition, but people at the awards or people involved with the filming, like, I think he was like an executive producer on his own film. And for anybody that watched that film, they understand these outbursts can happen at any time. you bring them in a room full of people where it can happen, I feel like there should have been some sort of conversation about what to do if you have an outburst. What are we going to do with that?
Right.
I feel like that's something that would have came up at least definitely on
You
his
would
side.
think though. You would
On his
think.
side, as John Davidson, I think that definitely would at least come up on your side. Like, hey man, these things happen anytime. Maybe I should be in the back. Just like for example, if I have the flu, it's my job to stay home.
Right.
And if I'm gonna be around people, I let them know. Just so you know, I got the flu. I'm sick. Those are my responsibilities. I do feel like, yeah, I do feel like, likely if it was some other sort of offensive slur, they would have wasted no time censoring.
I mean, they edited out some other ones, so why
Yeah,
not edit this one out?
that's what
That's my
that's
thing. Like you took the time to edit out all of the other things, but you left this one in?
and that's the triggering part because it's like you don't want to believe the worst in some people, but sometimes it is what it is. Like, here's our excuse to let this word fly. Here's our moment where we could just let this go and, like, we'll kind of be able to get away with it because, there'll be something else next week. But let's see how far we get away with this. And that's what I sometimes wonder is happening. Like, there'll be this fake apology, but really you enjoyed that moment. You enjoyed what was said, especially like the two actors that it was geared towards, with the film Sinners having like 16, I think, was it Oscar nominations,
Oscar
like
nominations, yeah.
more than any other film. Like, it's like I know, like it's like breaking a lot of records. So you kind of just wonder,
Yeah.
like, how many people were just like waiting for that level of hate to come through, and here was their excuse.
Yeah.
Funny enough, a couple weeks ago, I was watching this girl on Instagram who has tics, and she has the
I
same
think I saw
condition.
it.
So
I saw
just
it.
before this whole thing, she was explaining her condition with Tourette's and how, again, you
She was
can't control it.
the like the black
Yeah,
girl?
black
Okay.
girl. And again, these are involuntary. You can't control it. I understand it completely. That's why I think for the most part, society is providing some kind of grace. But I also say this is your condition. You understand it more than anyone else. But as she explained it, like some of these ticks, it's the same tick.
Yeah.
It's the same set of words and same sort of movements. It's not necessarily just random anything. So I'm kind of just wondering, like,
I
is
know
that
where
the
you're going with this.
right? Is that the first time you said that
That
slur
word.
in the
Yeah.
presence of black people?
Yeah. That is
Like,
what another set of people are saying. They're like, you use that word when you see black people?
like we
Yeah.
I could accept the condition, but I'm not. It's going to be really hard for me to accept that that was the first time you used that one as a result of your condition. I think that if you knew that's a word you say as a result of your condition, then you should know you shouldn't be in the room. You should take
Yeah.
it upon yourself.
As far as I know, right, from at least the little research that I've done on this, they just say inappropriate things at like the wrong time, right?
Yeah.
But it's never been like this one seems like a racial thing, like so I'm not saying, but I'm saying, like
I think we're all on the same page that we
okay,
know that deep
okay,
down some of y'all got some of those same thoughts
yeah,
when you see, especially like when they see some successful person of color on stage doing what they do and doing it well, they're probably thinking that he just doesn't have the luxury of keeping it to himself. It just comes out. So again, I'm
exactly,
not like shocked or surprised. It's just again, your condition, and if you said that word in the past, if this is one of the main uh repetitive ticks you have, and you didn't remove yourself, then I'm gonna say you're at fault. You did this on
yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I hope this is a learning. Well, I want to say I hope this is a learning experience, but I'm sure this shenanigans is gonna happen again. It's just, it's just the world we live in. For whatever reason, people now think they have a license to just be open with how they feel about people of color,
it. Hmm.
and it's the environment that we're in that has brought that on. Before they were closeted, and now it's like open season. So I don't know. I feel like you could just tell their faces, like Michael B's face and Delroy Lindo's, like you could see it on their face that it was just,
They handled
and
it with grace though. With
they
BBC.
did. They did. They did. I mean, which is no surprise there, right? But I would just say shame on the BBC and shame on BAFTAs for letting this air.
Hmm.
Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, and I do want to say again, it's like we want to make it clear we're not attacking the condition.
No,
We're
not at
attacking,
all.
we're criticizing the people
Yeah.
because they have
Who
some
let
level of
that happen?
responsibility. They have
Yeah,
some level of choice. They could have taken preventative measures. It was on them. If you could take preventative measures and you did it, it's on you.
absolutely. Like you had time to correct this and you chose not to. So that was a choice. Somebody chose to leave that in. All right, let's move on. Speaking of the disrespect, there's this Hunter College professor named Allison Friedman, and she was on this sort of New York Community Education Council meeting where they were talking about the charter school, charter. I think it's called Carter Woodson School, and there was a student talking about how they don't want they don't want the school to close. And so that was what the meeting was about because the school was going to get shut down. And so while they were having the meeting, she decided that she clearly wasn't smart enough to know that she was not on mute, and she made some comments. She basically said, they just, and I quote, they're too dumb to know they're in a bad school. Apparently, Martin Luther King said, it's like if you train a black person well enough, they'll know to use the back. You don't have to tell them anymore. And she basically said that she was explaining to somebody the Carter Woodson quote where he said, "When you can't control a man's thinking, you do not have to send him to the back door. He will go without being told." So that was basically what she said she was trying to articulate, but it came out the way she said it. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that that's what she meant, or she meant what she meant? And also, apparently, her job now is, they're saying her comments are under review, but because she has tenure, it's kind of hard to, let her go. Um, I'm not encouraging people to lose their jobs, but I think there should be consequences for basically calling black people stupid. Again, the disrespect, and nothing gets done. There's no consequences. But what do you think of this, and what are your thoughts?
Well, the first thing is she's the reason why DEI is needed. Like that's what was one of my thoughts. Because DEI to me is something meant to neutralize racism in the hiring process in the workplace. Just to neutralize it is not meant to give people of color an advantage, but make sure they're not at a disadvantage. Unfortunately, you can have all the credentials, but they're still seeing race. You can have all the degrees and they're still thinking that you are less intelligent. And that's what the problem is. I mean, like, as a professor, she is in a position of power. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I mean, if she was in any other sort of authority, like where she could decide who gets a job and who doesn't, you can only
Mm-hmm.
imagine what she's thinking. So that's the hard reality that we have to swallow at all times. Where it's like, you know what, we could work so hard, make all the right moves, and it's still like, nope, you're still not good enough by my standard. That's what really hurts. That you can be perfect, still not get the role. And the fact of the matter is that none of us are perfect. So even one or two mistakes is like, oh well, that's just inherent in their.
Yeah.
That's just who
Yeah.
they are. Like we can never be late or whatever the case may be, as if no one else is ever late. So I just really hate the fact that she's in a position where she could look down on others. This is a situation where she doesn't have the luxury of blaming it on a condition like other people. She doesn't have that luxury, but still, she tried to like worm her way out of it. That no, she was really trying to teach her child a lesson. We're not falling for that. We're not falling for this idea that
We're
you
not
meant
falling
it in
for the
some
okey doke
where
anymore.
yeah, that okie doke that you meant it for this other reason. Your evil was actually meant for good. No, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. It was just evil. And that is what really kind of I would say bothers me most. That even when caught red-handed, they will still lie to your face.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thinking is that you're still naive. You still don't have the intelligence, so they could still somehow outsmart you, even when they did something, even when they're caught red-handed. That's really the insult there.
I don't know if I have like mixed emotions about this because it's like, again, we talked about this earlier of like people just feel like they can say whatever they want to say nowadays. And I think she wouldn't be, trying to cover it up if people hadn't heard her. And the second thing is even the people that were there that heard it, unless I'm not seeing like the rest of the clip, or maybe it's just a certain clip, I don't see they didn't call her out either.
With them, they might have just been in shock. Because I could say in
That's
those
fair.
moments, you're like, you know, when certain things happen, you be like, what?
You did see a lot of them like,
Is this? Because like you're thinking, like, is this really happening? Because like again, sometimes like we think we would know what to do in that situation. A lot of us will suddenly know what to do after the fact.
it's fair. That's
In
fair.
that moment, you're just so much in shock. It's like again, like if you see a car accident, like some people might know to jump in immediately. Some people are just in a state of shock that seeing somebody get hurt, seeing somebody almost lose their life, and you just freeze. So that's why
Yeah.
I don't blame them, you know, like because they're not expecting that.
Like, what is it about us that irks them so much? Like, that's something that I've never been able to like. It's not like we came to y'all. Y'all came to us. You came to our backyard trying to look for trouble.
Yeah.
You brought us here. You were the one that came looking for us. We weren't checking for you. And so now that it's like these are the consequences of like if you wanted a society that was just you, you should have stayed in your country. Like that's just my thinking. It's like you despise us so much, but yet you are still checking for us. Isn't
Well,
that the very definition of being insane?
well, that's the kind of thing. It's like what we said in our last episode when they think that they should be center of the universe or their ways, their culture should be the default setting for America. And the thing that really caught my attention as far as her character is when she said, "When you train them well enough, they will go through the back door."
Mm-hmm.
You know, this concept, this idea that we want you in this level of society, we don't want you over here. We want you in the back of the bus, we don't want you in the front. Like this is what she wants to get to. And that was the really alarming part, that we need to condition them to be a certain way. Well, while at the same time saying that we don't have the intelligence, but you're saying you're plotting to make sure that we're there. In other words, you're plotting to make sure that we fail. That's what you're really saying right there. That we don't have the same, excuse me, that we don't have the same wins, we don't have the same victories, we don't have the same opportunities as you. That's what she was really saying.
Yeah, and I think first of all, I think they should kick her out of that council.
Hmm.
Like she needs to be gone, at least from the council. Regarding her job, that's on them to figure that out. Again, I don't want anybody to lose their job, but I do think there should be some type of consequence for this. Like this whole thing about black people are too dumb to realize, or black people are like if we're so dumb, then why are you always like checking for us?
Yeah.
Like it's like it's just so bad for like they don't want to see us succeed, they don't want to see us thriving, and when they do, it's like it bothers them so much. And it's like if you really like if you have a life of your own that is suitable to you, you wouldn't care what anybody else is
Oh
doing.
yes. Oh yes. When you're winning, you're not bothered by anybody else's wins. You're not affected by it. When you're winning, you're happy to see other people win. That's a fact.
But people are just so like, and then the fact that I think she was saying that to like her daughter, it's like these things are taught.
Yeah.
Like these things are taught. Like you are talking to your child like that. And then they grow up and have this complex. And it's like it's like a cycle. It's like, man,
I mean, I don't believe for a second she was talking to her daughter, but that's the excuse that she was trying to
that's the
give.
excuse,
She was
right?
trying to teach her kid. So like, what were you trying to teach your daughter then? What was it
That
that
black
you
people
were
are
trying to?
dumb.
Yeah, what were you trying to teach her? Like that one doesn't save you. It makes it worse.
Thank you. Like that's not a good excuse, you know? It's like that dude from the Epstein files.
Mhm.
He was like, I was at the island, but I took my daughters and my wife. And it's like that doesn't make it
Yeah,
any
that doesn't.
better, dude.
Yeah, like you thought that would protect you. Like no,
Like, no.
no, they're lying. Like that's how you know. Like when the lie itself doesn't make any sense or it doesn't make a difference.
I this is completely off topic, but I wanted to get your opinion about something. What did you think about Prince Andrew getting arrested? Did you hear about that?
I just thought it was about time. That's
Okay.
all I thought. I thought it was about time. I thought like I think this is the first step in the downfall of many people. That's
You
what
think so?
I think it's the first step in the downfall of many people. I think that the crown is going to carefully distance themselves from him, but there'll probably be
Absolutely.
some true. They'll probably try to find ways, at least to protect themselves, right? They'll try to find ways to protect themselves and maybe to a degree protect him as well. But I think that he's gonna name names. I think he's gonna name names. Like he's gonna be like, listen, if you don't help me out, you're going down too.
Can we talk about this for like a little bit? I'm
Sure.
kind of interested, and we'll do our last topic. But okay, before we get into this topic, is there anything else you wanted to say about our friend Allison?
No, I mean like that is I might take her class because she not gonna fail me.
That's
I
the
might
fact that
enroll and she's gonna have to pass me no matter what.
it's the fact that this is supposed to be the person who are teaching our next generation. Like this is a teacher that thinks like this, like a whole
Yeah.
professor, you know. And so the fact that she's like only God knows what she's filling some of her students' head, like her students' head with. Like if this is how you think as a professor, and God help your students because this, this top behavior, this top mindset is very unfortunate, and I thought there was a lot more vetting that you got to go through before you can be a professor and spewing this crap to people. But
Well, that's the thing. Like, you can never know what's in anybody's heart at the end of
that's
the day. Like,
true.
we all know how to put on a show. We all know how to put on a front. We're never gonna speak our true thoughts in our minds, but those true thoughts they can
Yeah.
come out in other ways. And I can only
Yeah.
imagine when it's like, when some of her students, if some of her students that look like her can't be there to take that quiz or test, she makes it work for them. She finds a way to reschedule. Like, don't worry, you can make it up. But
Yeah.
then when her black students can't make it, oh, you just get an F. You
Mhm.
just get a zero. And then later on, when they're looking at those grades, and she like, look at those people who always fail. Well, yeah, they're failing because you didn't give them a second chance.
Right, right. And it happens.
Yeah.
Like it happens in colleges and universities. So I don't know. I don't
And the,
know.
and the thing is, that I've seen that in the workplace, where it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
like you really see it when certain people are just able to get away with anything. They could come late, they can complain, they could curse. You have to be perfect.
It's the double standard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's so insane. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I could talk about that all day too. Like with some of the people that I work with, where they're afraid to just make a mistake because of how it'll look on them. Or like me and this other guy I work with, we're both of the same race, and sometimes we're the last one to leave. So we will stay an extra 20, 30 minutes just to make sure everything is good because we don't want it to be that it was us who are
Yeah.
last to be here if something happened.
We have so much pressure on us. Like I've been in situations like that too, where it's like my coworker has been just doing the bare minimum, the very little minimum, and it's like he gets the promotion or he gets the raise or he gets to pretty much do whatever he wants to do. And it's like I work twice as hard, I work three times as hard, but I'm still where I am. I'm still not getting a promotion. I'm still not getting a raise. I'm still not doing, and it's like, it could be this, like, it's disheartening,
Hmm.
like every black person has a story, of just proving themselves in the workplace and it not being good enough. And then their counterpart does the very bare minimum. And it's like they're treated completely differently. It's hard and it sucks, but I guess that's just the society and that's the world we live in.
Yeah,
All right. I do want to talk about this Andrew thing really quick.
yeah,
So, do you think that the royals knew what he was up to?
I'm
Like
sure they did.
Queen Lizzie, you think she knew everything that her son was up to?
I don't put anything past them. I don't think you could be that family and not know the ins and outs of that family. You are aware of all the dirty little secrets. There's stuff that your family has done that will never come out in the light of day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's stuff in their closet that could destroy them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I don't want to hear like you didn't know. Like, you guys know this stuff. You guys are aware. Maybe tonight.
I'm
Maybe
not
they.
from No, no, I was just gonna say I'm not British, I'm not from the UK. But my thing is I don't understand why that family has that much power in modern day. Like even though they're like, oh, it's kind of like they literally own half of Britain. And the fact that taxpayers have to fund these people's lifestyle,
Mhm.
and then you see some of the crap that they do, and it's like, at what point will they wake up and be like, okay, this one family has way too much, and we need to, like, their finances are not vetted, their books aren't vetted, Their properties aren't vetted. It's like they have so much autonomy, and so like they can pretty much do whatever it is they want. And this is basically the consequences of that. It's like this man was literally could do whatever he wanted to do, and nobody said anything about it. Nobody batted an eye. Nobody checked for him twice. Like nobody cared to have any sort of guardrails against any of it. And he was allowed to live in like this property for and didn't pay rent for like 20 years, and people are just finding that out, that why is he allowed to live in this property, this like literally like a 100-room mansion, and he pays like he only paid, I think they said like $7 million in like 2001 or something like that, and he never paid rent ever since. So like I think my thing is like it's not so much necessarily like him, it's just the whole thing in itself. It's like, why is it that this one like group of people, because you just happen to be born in the right family, you think you're entitled to all of this stuff, and there's other people out there who are suffering. And then I have to also, well, not me because it ain't my taxpayer money, but that's another thing. But like people's taxes are going to this family's pocket. Like I don't get it. And I guess their justification is, oh, they help with tourism. Y'all can find other ways to do tourism. There are plenty of other ways you can, like, UK will always be the UK. You don't need them for tourism.
Mm-hmm.
Am I reading this wrong? Maybe I don't know. Maybe I am.
I mean, no, you're not. You're not reading it wrong. It's just, the reason they're in power is because it keeps other people in power. It's a system that they have perfected, and they want to keep. Like, wait a minute. As long as this family's been in power, our nation has been relatively number one. We get a say in which way the world turns. So why would
Hmm.
anybody rock the boat? Even if I have to pay a little bit of tribute, I still win in the long run. So I understand why some people aren't trying to rock the boat, and they'll look the other way to some of their behavior, but now it's just catching up as it should. You want us to believe that we live in a world that's just with fair laws and the bad guys get punished? Prove it. That's
Yeah.
what's happening now.
I will say that I do admire them because I didn't think in my lifetime that I would ever see a royal get arrested.
Hmm.
Like I didn't think I would ever see the day where someone that powerful would step foot in in would be in that type of situation, because it does not happen. So I commend them for doing that. And even though it's not for the Epstein files and any of that, it's for his indiscretion when he was in public office. I think it's a lot better that they're at least trying to hold him accountable. We need to take it a step further and hold more people accountable. More people need to be accountable. Like, what did Bill Gates know? Now he's coming around talking about, oh, he had an affair with like Russian, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, Bill, like, okay. Now people are starting to confess, and I'm just like, this is
No,
ridiculous.
it's not confession. It's damage control.
Oh, damage control,
Damage
whatever.
control. Let me put this out there before anyone else does, because it's gonna come out, but I'm gonna be able to put my own spin on it. I'm gonna try to make it sound as legit, as legal as possible. I was there, but I didn't really see nothing. Yeah, well, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. This could be like its own topic at some point, but I just wanted to kind of get your opinion on like, what did you think when he got arrested, of like, wow, they're really at least attempting to hold him accountable. And I think all of them knew. All of them royal people, I think each and every one of them knew what he was up to. I think they all got skeletons in their closet. Like, you've heard
Hmm.
rumors about this person and that person, and they pay the UK press a lot of money to keep their secrets. That's
Yeah,
all I'll say.
yeah.
All right, let's move on. There is this nurse, this NICU nurse. Her name is, I hope I'm saying this, Erin Strotman.
Hmm.
That's her name. And she was a former NICU nurse in Virginia. And basically, she was accused of breaking the bones of 10 infants in the NICU in the hospital. And she's 27 years old, and she pleaded no contest to 9 charges of felony child abuse. She was initially facing 20 charges for her handling of 9 babies between 2022 and 2024. She's out on bail right now, which is ridiculous to me. But when I first saw this story, if Erin didn't look the way she looked, they would have tossed her onto the jail. But what are your thoughts?
You know, the funny thing was, and I want to make sure I say this into the mic. My first thought was, how could you be so evil? That was my first thought because the
I thought
the
that too, but
newborn, yeah, the newborn ICU, that's intensive care unit for
for
newborn
babies,
babies.
for new babies.
So these are already babies that are suffering, already babies that might not have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And you decided to put even more suffering on them. I mean, to the amount of force or time it would take to break a bone. Like you would like to me, if you're doing it with your bare hands, that means you have to stand there and consciously put enough pressure to break a bone and cause them more pain. From what I can gather, these were all 9 black babies, right?
Yep, yep. They were all black babies.
Because I kept trying to go back and check. I was like, I don't want to say something that's not true, but
Yeah.
everything I'm coming across, 9 black babies had their bones broken by a nurse. I mean, babies that were already suffering. Taking the race out of it, I just kept asking myself, how evil can you be? It took me a while to even read the article. There were times I had to like step away before I could finish reading this because I said, I can only imagine what these babies are feeling and going through. And you treated them according to our worst fear, where you don't see our children like you see yourself. You don't see them as human. You don't treat them with humanity. You see them as something to destroy because that's what you were doing. You
Yeah.
see them as something that you want to inflict harm. You want to inflict suffering. You want to inflict on the innocent, on the most innocent of any human race, which is a baby, the most innocent. You want to inflict harm because you see our children as something to harm, as something to hurt. And that was like my initial thought. And then it was afterwards I went to race. Like the fact that all of them were black, I don't want to hear nothing about race wasn't involved. You're racist. You're kind of evil. That's a specific threat to us. And people try to say that evil is evil. No, no, no. When there's an evil
It is
that's
special.
specific, when it's specific towards you, it's a special kind of evil.
Yeah. My stance has always been the same. If you hurt children, there's a special place in hell for you. Point blank, period. That's one of the only crimes where I'm like, no, nope. Because children are innocent. And especially babies who are fighting for their lives, that you would go out of your way to hurt them. That is a special kind of, that is like a special kind of evil, because like mindset are you in that's your first thought? I'm gonna go do this to these babies, instead of like my job is to help them. I became a nurse to help them, and then the most innocent and precious and vulnerable of us all, you go and do that. That is beyond evil. Like, that's why I'm like, they should have locked her up and throw away the key, because there's no redeeming that.
And I don't want to hear anything about a condition. I don't want to hear
No,
about anything about this.
no condition.
She was able to go through school, get a degree. And here's the thing, I never believe it's a condition when you try to hide it.
Exactly.
Like with the Tourette's thing, he did that in public. That I believe that because you couldn't control it. You can't control when it comes out. When you can hide it, to me you can control it.
I also blame the hospital, because
Yeah.
what the hell were you doing?
9 times?
9 times and nobody caught this?
9?
Nine. Not one, not two, not three. Nine?
And the funny thing is, like, I work at a place where you write your initials wrong, there's an investigation. You know, that's how intense it is at my workplace. Like the slightest sort of, and they catch it, there's an investigation. So I'm wondering, like, how did this happen 9 times and nobody was
Nine.
catching wind? Shouldn't there like be more than one nurse there at the time? You know, that kind of thing. It's crazy that this happened 9 times and nobody's like, yo, like, what's going on? Because I'm like, these babies didn't break their own bones. All of them black 9 times.
The
And
amount,
mm,
sorry, go ahead.
and the thing is, like, I would say if it was over the course of 20 years, 9 times, I could see how that gets overlooked. You're saying all of this happened just within like three.
Yep.
That would be very suspicious to me. Very suspicious to me. All of them the same race, all of them broken bones. No. And here's the thing, I'm not trying to wish any kind of violence on anyone, but I would not be shocked if something happened to her. If a parent got just, I would not be shocked. I'm not wishing out anyone. I'm not wishing anyone to be a vigilante, but I could see how certain crimes you cannot just let go.
Yeah, I think certain crimes are, look, I'm all about forgiveness and good Christian woman and all, but I'm like there's certain crimes that I'm just like, yo, there's not a amount of prayer that could forgive this because that's terrible. That is terrible. And the fact that you go out of your way to hurt these innocent babies,
Hmm.
like I don't want to hear nothing about her being mentally ill. No, because this was a choice.
Hmm.
This was a choice. And the administration at that hospital, shame on them too.
Hmm.
Because if this was any other race of kids, the first one they would have investigated. Okay, let alone nine. So the fact that, like you said, even from like being since birth, our kids are not looked at as humans and they're looked at as like, just a thing, and their humanity is not even being seen is horrible to me.
Here's where I think race would have came in if it was nine white babies. I think that you wouldn't even get that far if it were nine white
That's what I'm saying. If it
babies.
was,
Oh,
that's
I
what I'm
thought you meant
saying.
I thought you meant her race.
No, 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 no. The babies, the
The babies,
races of the
yeah.
babies.
Because
Yeah,
yeah,
if
I
that's
think that
yeah.
it wouldn't have gotten that. It would.
No, the first one they would have investigated, let alone nine. That's what I'm saying. It's like that is why infant mortality rates for black women are so high. That is why we are having all of these issues in our health system when it comes to, black people, because the culture that is allowed to happen to us and our kids is horrible. It's horrible. And then this woman is walking around here, and that's why I'm like, why is she not locked up in a prison somewhere?
Yeah, these are people that are wishing destruction, and I don't say that to exaggerate. You're wishing destruction on us. You're hoping to put a permanent damage on these children. Imagine this: you're born into the world in intensive care. You already got it hard. Let me make it harder for you. That
Yeah,
is her thinking. Let me make it harder for you. And I can only imagine how these kids are going to develop some, like, who knows the long
who
term
knows?
effects,
Exactly.
and then they'll come back around and try to blame it on us. There's something we're not doing. No, our problem is trusting you. Our problem is not asking enough questions. Our problem is that we need more of our own in the healthcare field,
I
watching our
agree.
backs. That's what
I
really
agree.
this should be a lesson about us being in the healthcare field because no one's going to watch our backs more than us. No one's going to protect our children more than us. So it's like a part of me. So I wanted this story to be like fake, to be like I'm hoping it's not a real thing, but
Yeah.
to hear like these nine black newborns, and again, if it was any race of newborns, I would feel upset. But nine black newborns, like that is too much for me. I don't. Babies, children should never. They should never have to go through this, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I mean, it just kind of it just goes to shows the standard, right? From the healthcare to the justice system. Because if this was a black nurse and those were white babies, what do you think would have happened to her?
It wouldn't have gotten that far. It wouldn't have gotten that far. I mean, I'm sure there's been some crazy things that have happened, but I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine a black
It wouldn't
nurse
have gotten that
doing this.
far. I absolutely, in
With
my
getting
gut,
this
knew that it,
far.
it would not have
Yeah,
gotten that
definitely
far.
wouldn't have gotten that far if the nurse was black and you had white babies. It wouldn't have gotten that far. It would have been an investigation immediately.
Yeah. And the fact that there was not one immediately, but that is why we don't, that's why our community does not trust the healthcare system.
Yeah,
But we need more of us in that system. We need more black nurses, black doctors, we need more. But when we do go into these fields, they treat us like crap. Either we're like the token black person there, or they make our lives even more difficult. Like I cannot tell you how many, of my friends that are in the healthcare field that are nurses and doctors, and they're like, man, like I had it so rough. It's like a second set of rules for us and them. Like I worked, 10 times as hard, and it's like it's the same story over and over. It's like they, man, when I think of things like this, like it gets me so upset. Like I just get so upset, and so I don't know. because I don't understand how people can be so cruel. And sometimes I'm like, maybe I like to think that, me being empathetic is one of my superpowers, but sometimes I'm like, I feel a little too much. Like sometimes I feel too much, and it can be like, it can be overwhelming. And so I try to block it off, or I try not to think about it, because if I think about it, it's just really overwhelming. I would never, like, I could never, or how can somebody do that? But then you have to realize that, some people they're just mean and cruel and evil, and that's just how they are.
That's it. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, humans are the worst. We can be the worst. Like, history has proven that humanity can be so evil, and it's hard not to lose faith in people. Like, it's really hard, but it's like when you hear stories like this, or you hear more stories, it's really hard not to think about how much we suck. Like, we suck.
I will say that she pleaded no contest.
Follow this story, because I swear if they give her like a cushy deal, I'm gonna be pissed. I can already see where this is going. Like, I'm gonna follow this story, because I want to see what her sentence is gonna be. I think she's gonna be sentenced in May, I think. I want to see how much they give her, because if they give her anything less than 10 years, I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be pissed.
Hmm.
If they give her some bullshit like community service, I'm gonna be mad, because this is wrong. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I try to have faith in our justice system, but it's hard sometimes. I used to be that person that, that's why I went into the legal field, because I had such reverence for the law. But now it's like, sometimes it feels like a joke. It really does. Is there anything else you want to
No, I'm
chat
fine.
about before we go?
That's it. I think we got it all out of our system with this one.
I think so too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us on this week's episode. Please make sure you like and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. We are on YouTube at the Foreign Lady Pod, so you can watch the video podcast there. And of course, we are on social media on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook at the Foreign Lady Pod. Listen to us wherever you listen to your podcast. We appreciate it. We love your comments on TikTok, so keep it coming. I love to read the comments and all that. So, all right. Well, enjoy the rest of your week, everyone, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.